Hi guys, and welcome to my race video of the 2019 WTS race in Hamburg. I have to apologize for my sound quality this time because I went to an altitude training camp in St. Moritz straight away after Hamburg, so I haven't actually been home, so I don't have my microphone here, and this is just made through the built-in microphone of my laptop. So I'm sorry for that, but I hope you will still understand my voice pretty clearly. So the race in Hamburg didn't start really well for me, because just on the jump into the water my goggles were ripped off just by jumping in, because the dive is pretty high on the Hamburg race. I practiced it 3 times before the race, and on those 3 attempts the goggles always stayed on, but sadly not in the race. So as you can see here, I was behind the field right away because I had to stop and put them back on. And if you're behind the field once, then of course it's very difficult to work your way through again, because basically you have to swim faster than the fastest swimmers in the front, like Richard Wager, and then also have to navigate your way through the field and getting through all the carnage in the field. And obviously that, I'm not the best swimmer, so it wasn't really possible for me, and I just tried to make up as many positions as possible. Also, as I was behind the field right away, I managed to navigate behind the field to the right side, to the inside of the buoy. So I made up a few positions there just by going on the inside of the buoys. But yeah, on total, in the end, my swim was really bad, just because yeah, I lost it right away on the first meter basically, and there's not much you can do after that. Then comes transition 1, and my transition was actually pretty good. I think I had one of the fastest times. There was just one mishap that would trail me for the later race. That was that my goggles just decided to not slip into the box, but slipped outside, as you can see here in the slow-mo. Yeah, it was just by a few millimeters, but yeah, that's obviously in the WTS race the judges are pretty strict, and that gave me a 10-second penalty to serve during the run segment. At least my bad swim didn't have too much of an impact for my race, because pretty much all the field came out of the water together, so there wasn't much separation going on there. And yeah, after half a lap, I think all the field was back together in a big bunch. One factor for that was also that it was wet. Just poured down before our race really hard, so the roads were really wet. And as the course in Hamburg is pretty technical, lots of corners and turns, U-turns, it makes it really difficult to navigate around. And I would say I'm not one of the guys taking a lot of risk. I don't know, I've never felt like I want to risk my health by taking every turn in the wet as fast as I can. Rather stay on the bike. Also, I don't want to crash my bike and yeah, have a broken bike, because I don't really have anyone to give me a spare bike after that. So my season would also really be in danger by that. Yeah, so the first lap was pretty much trying to get into the big pack. Obviously, after the swim it gets strung out quite a bit, and it took a while for everybody to get into the real pack. And here you can see that it's pretty much single file on the first half lap, and also a lot of wattage, of course, as there's not too much of drag while going single file. And also there was quite a lot of wind coming from the sides, which also made it a little more difficult and a little more dangerous for it to ride on. So we're heading into the first U-turn here, and yeah, pretty much on that U-turn the whole field was one big group at that point. Maybe a few guys didn't make it to the pack, but I think the field was 45 people large at this point. And obviously, in these conditions, having a big group isn't really something that makes it less dangerous. It's quite the opposite, because if some like little mishaps happen, then usually the whole pack or most of the pack goes down, and that's why you really want to go to the front of the pack, because the chance of crashing into someone who crashes in front of you is just less than if you're the last one in the pack. Sadly, of course, everybody wants to go to the front of the pack, so it's not really easy. And I kind of struggled a little bit making up positions in that race. On the one hand, of course, because everybody is riding really hard and trying to get to the front and be in that like secure position. And on the other hand, as I said, I don't really like taking every risk in the wet conditions. So in each corner, I never overtook anyone in the corner, rather played it conservatively, and yeah, tried to stay on my bike. And also, I'm not really, I don't really trust anyone to ride really smoothly around the corner, so I'd rather have a little bit of a gap between me and the guys in front of me, because I don't really know how are they going to corner and are they going to crash, and obviously I still want to have some space left if someone crashes in front of me, so that I can maybe navigate around them. So I'm skipping ahead to the second of 6 laps now, because that was when the first crash happened and made me realize that it was really dangerous in that group. So we're heading into the really narrow and technical section right here, and you can see Alex Yee going like 3 or 4 positions in front of me, and he was actually the one causing the crash, I think. And this time it wasn't really in the turn, but here he just slipped while braking, and then a few other guys hit him, and I think most of the other guys were able to go on, but he kind of lost his chain and wasn't able to get back to the group. But yeah, obviously this causes a lot of disruption in the group, and as I was already in the back of the group, then there was a little gap because I had to navigate my way around the crash. Actually, I saw myself crashing already, but luckily I kind of artistically managed to avoid riding into the other guys. And then of course it gets strung out again, and you have to accelerate and get back into the bunch, which takes a lot of energy, obviously. And now we're heading straight to the, I think it was the 4th of 6 laps, and there was the big crash that some of you might already have seen in the race video. It happened on a very fast left-hand corner, and as I saw the day after the race, the turn was tilted slightly to the outside, so not in favor of the guys riding around it. And I actually slipped there on the first lap as well. I just like lost my back wheel and almost I stood like 45 degrees angle to the direction of my riding. So I knew that this corner was really difficult, and also some other guys, I think Richard Murray told me afterwards that also his back wheel slipped there once, so some of the other guys also knew that this corner especially was really dangerous. So in this corner, Andreas Schilling from Denmark was riding in the front, and he was losing his back wheel and then also his front wheel, and this led to everybody crashing into him because nobody really was able to avoid the guys crashing in front of them. I was luckily again able to artistically go around it. You can see it here on the official race video that he just loses it on that corner because he was pedaling a little bit too early, and the little pressure on the pedals led to his back wheel slipping. And then yeah, it was pretty much carnage there. Everybody was just standing around trying to fix their bikes, trying to like mend their injuries if they had. You can see there Bence Bishak from Hungary. He was actually quite severely injured. They had to treat him on the course there for about the rest of the race. So the rest of the race we had to go around that corner really slow because there was an ambulance there. Here you can see it again. He just slipped it, and then yeah, everybody just went into him, pure carnage there. And also you can see on the right there a lot of guys just going to the other side of the road. Usually that's not allowed, but in this case, of course, you want to stay on your bikes rather than follow any rules. I mean, nobody wants to get hurt or get injured, and so there obviously is no penalties for that here. I was lucky that the Swiss guy there kind of pushed me out. Otherwise, I would have crashed right into the other guys as well. But we kind of pushed against each other with our elbows and handlebars, and yeah, my momentum luckily was facing away from the crash. So yeah, I was really sad for the other guys that they crashed, but I was really happy that I didn't crash, because otherwise my season might have been gone, or my bike might have been broken. So that also might have been the end of my season. Yeah. After that, I think everybody kind of slowed it down a little bit, because everybody saw that it's really dangerous, and that pretty much was a shock for everybody in the field. Also, we kind of had to go slower around the place where the crash happened from that point on, because there was an ambulance on the road, and because we were going so slow, everybody that crashed or had to stop in the crash was able to catch back up again. So it was basically only the guys that actually weren't able to go on, like with mechanicals or injuries, that were lost from the group at that point. So the rest of the bike was, yeah, a little bit more comfortable, because I think nobody really took any big risks anymore. Just to the end, of course, at the end of the bike ride, as always, everybody wants to try to get to the front of the pack, especially in Hamburg, because as you can see here, it's really narrow at the end of the bike, so it's basically single file, and that's a long time from the first guy in the pack to the last guy. I think it's probably around 10 to 12 seconds from the first to the last guy in the pack. So you're losing 10 to 12 seconds for the run just by being one of the last to turn into that combination of corners just before the transition. I again wasn't really willing to take too much of a risk, so I didn't really manage to go far to the front. I was more like, I think, 5th or 6th to the last, and that gave me a gap of 10 seconds already entering T2. And then also in T2 I had to look for my goggles that went out of the box, because I was told by a German coach that I had a penalty, and I was pretty sure that that all my things were in the box. So I had to stop for a short time there and had a look around my box to make sure that it was actually justified, and then I saw that the goggles just went out. And yeah, so I had to take my penalty as well during the run, and also I just didn't have a lot of run speed in that race. I think I don't have too much of like that high-end speed anyways, and I had to settle for 36th position in the end. Yeah, but wasn't my finest race, but it was definitely fun, except for the crashes and the mishap on the start of the swim. And yeah, of course, as a German racing in home soil, with the crowd in Hamburg just being magnificent, cheering on everybody, that's just a real treat, I think, for every German and also for every athlete on the circuit. Yeah, so thanks for watching. and I hope you enjoyed this video about the Hamburg WTS, and see you next time then.